welcome back to dimecomicbros podcast. I don't know if this is really an opening joke, but I propose an idea.
Uh-oh. He's gonna ask us if we're gonna get married.
No, I already know the answer to that.
It's no.
Right.
We're just gonna keep fucking each other in the ass.
Exactly. Just occasional sleepover parties. Put your arms away, please. They're disturbing me.
Ah!
Mine?
Yes.
Why are they disturbing?
Anyway,
Fucking stretching.
the rule has been, if Collin especially does not have a talking point, then we have to ask him a question. And I propose that we change the type of questions that we start asking whoever does not have a talking point. And I want to go in the vein of who would win competitions.
So like characters?
Yeah.
The writer decides.
Aside from that point, you are the writer.
I am the writer.
Explain the process.
Okay.
Yes.
I will.
I think it'll be fun.
I will. Prepare to ask me a question.
I was going to say, do you have a talking point this week?
No.
No.
Nice.
Wow.
Well, let's kick this thing off.
Why buy a comic that might cost more than a dime? Come meet the brothers who are here to waste your time.
Kicking it off on the worst foot possible.
Yeah.
Moon Knight, Black, White, and Blood. We're finally getting to it. After months of delays. The book getting delayed, and then us getting delayed, and then Jacob going off into the wilderness for 40 days.
My fault. It came out when I got back.
Yeah.
You can't blame this on me.
I will blame everything on you.
Nope. Not this one.
You went to go wander in the wilderness,
Yeah.
and you didn't bring
I'll
a book
blame
with
it
you.
on Spencer's long ass fat toe.
Why are you looking
The
at
big
my...
toe is just so big.
Moon Knight,
So big compared to the rest.
Black, White, and Blood. 4 issues. Treasury edition, of course. $30.
30 bucks?
30
Yes, 30
bucks.
Two
I got
nine-
mine from Stairway to Heaven Comics because I like them.
2999.
Segment it. There's tax in there.
That's... No, there isn't.
Please shut up.
Stairways in New Hampshire, you nerd. Shut up, Maynard. So the this is gonna be a contentious episode.
It's going to be a doozy.
Oh boy. So as usual, it's 3 stories per issue. There's 4 issues, so that means 12 stories. It's like the Disciples.
He was homeschooled.
I was. So the first story, Anubis Rex, was written by Jonathan Hickman with art by Chris Bacalo.
Anubis Sex.
This is my least favorite of the entire book.
Can I have the book again, please? You keep stealing it away from me. I'm trying to brush up.
Steal. So Moon Knight is in a desert walking around and then encounters some enemies. He has a sidekick. I don't know why, and I don't know who the sidekick is.
It's a she.
Hello?
Moon Knight's a girl.
Oh, it's a girl knight.
Yeah, it's a girl night.
This issue was probably my worst, but it was stolen away from me again. The action is just so unclear. It's just lines on colors on lines, and I couldn't tell what was Monster and what was Moon Knight's cape and what was anything. It was terrible for the whole issue.
I just don't understand what the purpose of the story was, other than dropping the just the voiceover dialogue. Like that was kind of the only.
And there was no backstory on who this kid companion thing was and why. Terrible, awful. Worst of the book.
Actually, this Moon Knight is from space, in a space pyramid.
Yeah, but why?
Cause cool.
But why?
Because cool. I actually think that the art style was really cool, and I really liked it a lot. There were definitely parts where it's like I can't tell what this is, but it just looks good to me anyways. It doesn't really matter. I think it just needs more color. It's just that type of art style that needs more color for you to really distinguish what is going on.
There's a lot of really similar pencil and pen lines.
Yeah, but I like a lot of those, but I don't think it's definitely not the fucking worst one. The next one's the worst one.
I don't think so.
It is. Look at
All
that
right,
shit ass art.
The next one is So White Yet So Dark by Muriwa Ayodele and Dotan Akande.
Edakadu.
And it's Moon Knight and Spider-Man doing a thing.
Yeah, it's really bad.
I think you're wrong.
Yep.
Really fucking bad art.
I think it's very heavily digitized, and I'm not a fan of that.
Right, but the coloring helps bring it up a little bit.
It does.
There are a lot of uses of shading, and there's pinks or, grays instead of just hard black and red.
Oh, and it's MCU Spider-Man, by the way.
It's one of the few stories in the book that actually does take advantage of shading, like at all, because the majority of these stories end up having the same problem for me, where it's clearly this person wasn't told that they were getting like a colorist to do it in black and white. Mm-hmm. So they're just, most of these are not designed to be read like this, is the vibe I'm getting. I don't know that, but it really feels like it.
Yeah.
The dialogue for that story was pretty cringe, though.
It was bad.
The next one is The End by Mark Guggenheim and Jorge Fornes.
This is my second favorite one.
I actually really like this one because it's backwards and you need to read it backwards for it to really make sense.
And it doesn't tell you that at all.
And I like it.
It was like halfway through, I was like, wait a minute. That bloodstain wasn't there before.
Why are they getting back in the car and it's going back to normal?
Yeah, exactly.
It's very bizarre.
I like it.
It's, yes, and the art is fantastic. Fornes is currently one of my favorite artists working in he does, I think, primarily DC books, but he works a lot with Tom King on a lot of collabs, but he does fantastic work, and I think he did the coloring on that one. I don't know.
I got nothing against it, but nothing really stands out except for that you read it backwards.
It's very clear, action wise, which is nice, despite it playing out backwards,
which I like a lot.
The second issue starts out with The Empty Tomb by Benjamin Percy and Vanessa R. Del Rey.
This is my favorite one. I fucking love the art, and I really like how pretentious it is. Benjamin Percy as a writer is really hit or miss, but when he nails the right tone for stuff, for me, it's really good. It's really voiceover heavy, but it's very... the wow look, he's having brain problems, and then it goes comatose. I like that.
I really like the concept that was going on with that, and the art style really portrayed it very well, even though sometimes there were certain parts where I was like, I can't really tell what that is. But it was good. No complaints.
Also, Doctor Strange cameo for the win.
Exactly.
Yeah, that was
Doctor
cool.
Strange and Moon Knight is such a cool team up.
Yes.
I like it better than him and Spider-Man.
Yeah.
A Hard Day's Night by David Pepose, Leonardo Romero, and Chris Sotomayor. Moon Knight crawls into a diner because he's bleeding out.
Oh, I love the art.
And he has a conversation with all of himself at the diner table.
This one's definitely on the very good list.
This is my top 5.
Yeah. It's just a weird conversation flashback thing. Just going over, like, where did this wound come from? And they're all talking at each other, trying to convey what the hell they've been getting up to for the past couple of days.
Which persona is trying to remember how an injury happened.
Yeah. I really like... honestly, Spencer just keeps taking the whole thing, and I can't really comment on anything because I agree. But I just really like the space that I guess they're talking in, and it just Moon Knight has a regular table that he just talks to his other personas in. It's just really cool. I like it.
I think it's funny that it's just an accepted thing. It's like, oh, it's New York in the middle of the night. He's just talking to himself. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, it's fine. Blood Red Glider by Patch Zurcher. I don't remember this one.
This is one of my least favorite ones. It's just
It's highly detailed.
It feels too photorealistic, try hard, for my taste anyways. It just comes across very...
I don't give a shit about this one.
I've really had very few feelings on it. I like that it was trying to focus on non-New York centered vigilante business.
He's in the jungle, and it's very Indiana Jonesy. There's mysticism, but also a big guy that beats the shit out of him.
And it has a butterfly on his chest.
Butterfly. Yeah, it just... I feel like the story could have been... Like, the setting could have been used in a better story with very different art. Because it's just so... bleh. It's very bleh to look at. Like, it's... Because there's no coloring pretty much the whole time, it's so... same looking, even though there are gradients and various shades of gray. It just kind of...
I like looking at it. It looks cool.
I think it would be fine for, like, a single, like, panel or, like, a poster or whatever. But, like, as a story, it's just very...
It's not bad. It's just...
No.
It's just unremarkable.
the setting, the world does not have any reason to use a red shade in there, so most of it is black and white.
Yeah.
It'd be very hard to squeeze red into most of this picture. All right, moving on. Issue number 3 starts with Wrong Turn by Erica Schultz and David Lopez.
This one's definitely on the great list.
This was pretty good. I liked it.
Jake Lockley is in doing taxi business, and then some bank robbers get in, and he fucks him up real good.
Yeah.
It's nice getting Jake Lockley focus.
It feels like the in the car fight scene from Deadpool, the first movie, kinda a little bit.
A little bit.
Yeah.
It's cool. We haven't had a lot of, I don't know about the current run, but we haven't had a lot of Jake Lockley in the more recent runs for like a while. Just he comes up, but like it's not, there doesn't seem to be a lot of storylines focused on him. So it's nice to see him, he's getting the spotlight.
Yeah.
That's Jake Lockley, bub. That was one of my favorite clips from talking about Moon Knight. That's my boy. That's Jake Lockley.
That's my boy.
No Empty Sky by Jim Zub and Jabril Morissette fan. Moon Knight finds an evil cult and fucks them up.
Yeah.
I appreciated the 70s occult vibe. Like it felt like a shitty occult movie. Like I like that tone because I like shitty occult movies. They're very funny, but the dialogue was really rough.
Even though the dialogue was perhaps rough, I actually enjoyed it. I liked the idea of him just talking about how much he complains about these cultists that are just blindly following, blind faith, and then he comes up to this decision he has to make where it's Khonshu wants me to mark this child. Why, Khonshu? And Khonshu's like, well, this might happen again because she could be another Moon Knight eventually, so if you mark her, I will be able to protect her, and I'll figure out blah, blah, blah.
So the symbology is that Moon Knight is blindly following.
In a sense, he wasn't really blindly. It was more like he did question it, but then he saw he saw how it could be helpful. So in a sense, he was kind of this seems like a lesser evil to me, so I guess I will.
I know, I get the story that it's going for. I just really don't think a 10-page story is when to do that, because then it comes across as really Reddit atheist brained, where it's there's no nuance here. There's just no room for exploration. Whereas the comics, when they touch on those sorts of topics, at least attempt to go a little bit more exploratory with it. When it's a few pages and it's mostly action based, it just doesn't.
I guess.
It just comes across as kind of cringe. The story in and of itself, by design, is fine. It's just, I don't know. It just doesn't feel like that was the time.
I don't really entirely agree with that, but it is on my top 5.
I like Moon Knight beating up cultists. It's funny.
This is true.
The credits are wrong. The last story is Astronauts by Ann Nocenti, Stefano Raphael, Chris Sotomayor. And Chris Sotomayor. Moon Knight is in space in a big sci-fi ship, and it uses red coloring very well. At least for that first page.
I didn't like this one.
I don't really care for it.
I wanted to like this one. Yet again, the action can get very confusing. Mostly because of 0G, but just there's so much on the page. It's hard to tell what's going on.
Yeah, I like the space setting. It's very bizarre, but what was it? It was the end of the Lemire run when they introduced the altar that was in space, right? I don't think it's been used since then, but I think I think it's a setting that they should try to use. I didn't like this one. I didn't like the vibe. The dialogue was really,
The story was dumb.
par for the course, and yeah, the art is fine.
It's fine.
The red splashes are nice, but yeah, the white and black contrast is so high it kind of hurts my eyes to look at.
Yeah. All right. Last issue. Good Morning by Christopher Cantwell and Alex Linz. Moon Knight is playing a game where he has to. It's kind of like a Squid Game. He has to run over all the X's to stand in the single circle that exists, and every X brings in new bad guys that he has to fight. So it makes him wonder if it's really worth the fight to survive standing in the circle at the end.
I liked this one quite a lot.
Yeah.
I liked its use of panels very well. It has a very good layout to it.
The story is very, very much an allegory for suicide.
Yes.
And it ends with a credit for somebody I don't know. And it hits hard. I like this one. And how it portrays those struggles.
For sure.
It brings up friends of Moon Knight as enemies. And he's got to fight them, or at least his vision of them.
That is a very common thing that I find very engaging. Especially because so much of that is like old history. Like the past, 15 years? Pretty much all the modern stuff he doesn't have those friends anymore. It's acknowledging like those decades of history in a really cool way.
I really liked the art. The art was fantastic. Even though I may have skimmed through it 5 minutes ago.
It's very scratchy.
I love it. I love the art, and I also really like that they brought back his like other aliases in his brain, where it's Captain America, Spider-Man, and Wolverine.
And that was a nice touch, especially because that run wasn't really popular, and it wasn't great, but like it was a weird time.
It has some cool concepts.
It's cool to mention.
It uses the dot.
I love the dot.
Dot art a lot.
I love the dot.
I don't know what that's called. Spencer never
It's
remembers
like a
the name
type of
it.
hatching.
The next story is The Scent of Blood by Nadia Shamas, Dante Bastianoni, and Chris Sotomayor. Again.
I don't care for this one.
Moon Knight finds a cult and beats the fuck out of them.
And they're all wearing red again.
Yeah, this one definitely felt like a dud.
Yeah, it was.
Just
I liked this one.
really?
Yes.
I don't like the
Because he
proportions.
I don't
inhales
like the art.
scarecrow juice and goes crazier and sees things, and it's very confusing about what is happening, and it causes a crisis of faith because the god of the cultists is like, I want to be your god, and then Khonshu is like, no.
Bad kitty.
Yes, bad kitty. I like this one.
I really don't like how he looks in this one. I have a thing for like really statuesque, not just posing, but like the designs. When superheroes are like so chiseled where it just makes they just look so awkward, and it really bugs me.
But Moon Knight is making red cultists bleed, and I like it still.
But we had that story already.
I don't care.
Okay,
I love it
moving
all.
on.
The last one is Born to Be by Paul Azaceta.
This one's-
Azaceta?
This one's my favorite.
Of course it is.
Wow.
Pussy.
True.
Cat.
Sure. It's the
Woody
art.
cat.
The art, and it's just a cool concept, and a cat literally comes out of another cat.
He keeps wondering who keeps letting the kitty in. I think it's implied that one of his other identities is letting the kitty in and having it being nice to the kitty.
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 I love kitty.
Moon Knight needs a kitty.
He does need a kitty.
He would be a cat guy.
He is a cat guy.
Yeah, I can see it.
And then there's a couple alternate covers that all are good, if not great.
Most of them.
Good, not great. That one is pretty good.
That's great.
That one's great.
That's great.
That one's good.
Eh.
That one's good.
Eh. That one's shit.
be-
Oh, that's good. That's good. That good.
I think this is the most inconsistent book out of the bunch for me.
You know what's
Weird.
You know what's funny? I like this one the most.
What?
Yep.
I
'Cause
like,
I
how you
like-
just rapidly changed your opinion from 20 minutes ago, where you were like,
I'm not gonna
Not
hate
20
on all of
minutes
it.
ago. It was like weeks ago we last talked about this book, like coming out. Yeah, I hated it because it started off in the worst fucking
it
issue.
really did.
Yep.
So I like this one more because the issues I don't. How do I word this correctly?
Can I try?
Yeah.
It explores a lot of different angles of Moon Knight.
There's that.
There's a lot of different personalities and what those would all look like. There's a lot of different things that go along with that, like what he does in life that help make different stories.
I think a lot of it is that a lot of the other books that we've read, I hated some of the issues. I only hate one of these issues.
Wow.
And I dislike some of them. And I like quite a bit.
I feel like I don't love any of them. Like, there's ones that I like a good bit. Like, there's like 3 or 4, but I don't. Even the books, even Carnage and Elektra were really hit or miss. There were a few of them that were fan-fucking-tastic, and then there were some that were really bad. This one's like, the bad ones are bad, but the good ones are like solid. It just kind of brings like the average rating down.
I think this is my second favorite. I think Wolverine is still my favorite.
Yeah.
And then this one almost tied, but I think it does come back down just a little pinch and gets a solid second place. I really like the good stories in this one. And then there are 2 that I don't like because of the action, and it's hard to tell what is going on, and the writing sucks. So it's like, the stinkers really do stink, but I like a lot of them, and I love a bunch of them.
So, I wouldn't say favorite's too strong of a word for me to say, but I definitely dislike this the least, or I like this the most out of the rest. But also, I think I like... There's probably only one issue I really hate the art, and then the rest I'm like, I like. And then there's like maybe 3 or 4 that I'm like, I love this art style. It makes me jizz all over the place. But I don't hate any of the art style except for one issue.
That's funny, because when I dropped the book off at work, somebody said, "Oh, you're going to get it back with the pages sticky." And Collin was like, "No, he's not. No, I promise I won't burn the book." And now he's saying he is jizzing over some of the art.
Yeah.
So,
Okay, I can change my opinion. I'm a human.
Wolverine.
Yep.
1.
Yes, I've got top, bottom.
So, what Spencer's doing is he's putting his hand in the air, so
Tier
I have
list.
to tell you.
Tier list.
Yes.
Wolverine. Moon Knight is tied with Carnage. Elektra. Deadpool.
Yeah.
Deadpool was the most disappointing because the manic energy of this type of book was not used enough. But Wolverine, because he's had such a long-standing history and has had so many different types of adventures, they really took advantage of it. So it's like the 2 that the best and the worst ones were the ones that either did or did not use the format uniquely. This one and Carnage were like really... They're just short stories. They weren't taking advantage of the anthology very much. They weren't like bouncing around between different time periods or different alters or like whatever. It was just a pile of short stories.
Which I like. I like that.
That's fine. It's just it for this to be like a big push from Marvel for like a year and a half of like a big thing. They put out the Treasury editions before the paperbacks. Like it's kind of disappointing to do that.
Carnage definitely beats out Elektra too, because the artwork was way more consistently legible. Yeah, and it's like it just gels with Carnage's look better than Elektra. Elektra was pretty schizo with the art styles and the settings, and like you had an anime one and like regular
like 3
comic
anime ones.
Yeah, it was just weird.
All I got to say is that I'm excited for the Darth Vader one.
Oh my gosh, it looks so good.
course
They're
you are.
I just
releasing
don't-
so much stuff.
I just don't want to be too excited, but from like the 3 images I saw through Twitter, I think because you liked it or you shared it, Spencer, that I'm very excited because it's being weird. And also Darth Vader in a black, white, and blood series is just fucking amazing. Just sounds perfect.
They've been showing off so many variant covers and so much of the interior art, and it just looks very unique.
Well, speaking of hit or miss, shall we talk about Dungeons and Dragons: Honor Among Thieves?
Okay.
Amongst us.
Among Us Thieves?
Amongst us. I quite like this movie, actually. There wasn't much that was hit or miss about it.
I went in like expecting to kind of have to turn my brain off so I don't hate it, and I came out like, that was actually not bad. I'm impressed.
I think it was a very good depiction of what D&D is like how you play it, because I remember one time people arguing over the internet about the scene where our bard throws like an axe or whatever in the mouth of a stone dragon, and they're like, that's like almost like literally impossible. And then we actually watched it, and it's like, yeah, I stayed there for a second because the DM allowed it to look cool, and he's like, yeah, but then he like spits it out, and that makes sense. A lot of the stuff makes sense. It almost feels like you can tell when someone you can tell what those people rolled just by the actions, and it's fantastic.
So the plot is pretty paint by numbers, but I think it definitely needed it. It being focused around a band of thieves definitely helps with the structure, where it actually it makes sense as like a planned out thing. It comes across vaguely like a campaign, but it also just comes across like a fucking story, like an actual movie script instead of just throw shit at the wall. It doesn't come across like a collection of bits. Like a lot of movies with this type of tone, where it's like it feels like a bunch of comedy skits like strung together. Whereas this actually felt like a coherent plan.
You're saying there was a script, but it felt like they were kind of making up a bunch of things along the way?
Yeah, like actually doing improv correctly.
Like a D&D game, kind of?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So the
And then there's wild and zany bits, like a fat dragon.
I was just about to say the Fat Dragon.
Fat dragon is
Fat
so
Dragon's
funny.
great. And it's funny because it's like actually a real thing in D&D. Like it's a character, like a giant, he's just a thing that's in the real lore.
I was howling during that sequence. So yeah, the paint by numbers, wow, look, it's the deadbeat dad doing not deadbeat dad things because his daughter is a dumbass, is like, wow, look, I've seen this before. But I'm glad that the daughter barely got any screen time because she was very annoying. But it focused on like the actual character interactions between the party and made the very straightforward, structure enjoyable to watch. It needed the structure to make it like function, but it didn't rely on it. It let the actors just kind of like fuck around a little bit.
Collin, is playing a bard kind of like being Mercy? Is it like the healer of the class?
It can be, but
of
it's not
the
really.
group?
Usually a cleric is the healer. Being a bard is basically... the only reason you'd want to play a bard is if you were like in band in high school or if you were like a theater kid. That's the only people that play bards.
I really don't see the appeal. And after watching this movie, I was like, I still don't see how that helps the group.
There is no appeal.
I think that's why they decided to start using subclasses fairly heavily. I think that's why they did that. They're like, actually, tragic backstory time, baby. Like, it felt like the bard shit was like a deflection. Instead of, acknowledging his noble bullshit, whatever the fuck,
Despite probably having a low budget, it didn't seem like it at all. Like,
No, everything seemed pretty good.
there was CG where you're like, okay, that's CG, but it's like, it didn't look like ass. I've seen worse out of Disney a lot
sure.
lately.
But yeah. The, fuck, I had a thing.
Yes. Did you?
A lot of the props and locations where they did like digital set extension, like the biggest bird was a real bird. They
Yes,
made
that
that
was
suit
real.
for like a 3-second sequence. They made the big bird suit, and so even when they're doing like really CG heavy sequences, like where Bradley Cooper is playing a halfling, like it looks jank, but the fact that they're physically interacting with real props is really helping it like actually not seem like insanity.
Right.
No, it was still fun, even though it looked jank.
Oh,
And
it definitely
it was
looked jank.
only for like they don't use it often.
No.
See, this is my problem.
That was what I was trying to say, is that it looks jank, but it doesn't look bad.
Yeah, so like my problem with movies is that like when they try to use CGI and they're trying to cut costs, they do it on a lot of bad movies will do that on some of the things that you see all the time. But if you're going to have a jank scene just because you need to cut some costs, it's okay if it's literally for like a couple seconds or if it's just like maybe half a scene. You can accept that. I can accept that at least. And I feel like they did that pretty well.
Meaning they didn't paint the helmets onto people for the whole fucking movie.
Yeah.
We're all thinking of the same thing.
I was actually thinking of... Yes. Okay, moving on.
Weird needle drops were unnecessary, of course.
Yeah, that was a bit much.
Needle drops.
When you drop the
I know that song!
Oh, yeah, that was
when
bad.
you drop the needle on the record.
Yeah, I hate that.
Those are... It's in every, like, PG-13 pop culture movie. It's getting obnoxious, but
Yeah.
it wasn't offensively bad. It was just there.
It's
The
just
score was fantastic.
Sure.
What else?
I quite
Oh.
liked it.
I enjoyed that they utilized a lot of creatures from D&D, like that Panther that can use those, like, project a hologram of itself or other things.
Such a weird design.
And also just a bunch of concepts like talking to the dead and raising them. You can only talk to them 5 times. And also, our wizards wheel of fuck.
Sparkle juice.
No, what? There's a word for it. It's a wheel of components. That's what it is. Wheel of components, because in D&D you need components for spells. Well, really big like ruled Nazis are like that. You need components for every spells, but usually people only use components for like big like I kill everyone in the room spells. But it was cool that they utilized that for the wizard in a visual sense.
Yeah, it also just helps spice up the sequences like visually because the components have different colors to them. So you like it's vaguely tied to like what type of magic he's doing, vaguely. So
Not vaguely, it really is.
It's like, oh look, he's green. Like when he does the smell of grass thing, the components are green. Like holy fucking shit. It's just putting effort into it more than anything else. Even if it's not really that necessary, it's just acknowledging that they clearly they were thinking about it.
Yeah, they were thinking about one thing. I will give this for someone who has been playing D&D. They thought of every single rule part of that entire game for the movie, like component pouch. That's something that most people usually don't think about in D&D because they just kind of skip that when they play the campaigns.
I quite liked there was a visual motif they kept going back to when they would change locations, and it was the world being presented kind of like a game board, like a table. That was really cool. A lot of movies about games do that, but I think this one actually used it well. Where it's like when it zooms in on like the table, the fake houses laid out on like the dining room table, basically, and it zooms in and then it turns into like the CG landscape shot. Like that was really cool, even if it looked a bit jank.
I have an annoyance.
Mm-hmm.
That means nothing.
Okay.
So bear with me.
Okay.
It really bothers me how every Wizards of the Coast product has to refer to Baldur's Gate. It feels like someone from any other country saying, I want to have a vacation in America, and the travel agent says, okay, where? It's like, well, where else? New York City, because that's America. It's the same thing with magic. It's Baldur's Gate. Like, why? What is so important about Baldur's Gate? Baldur's Gate sucks. New York City sucks.
That too.
Baldur's Gate. All I know about Baldur's Gate is that that there is a GameCube game that my dad plays consistently and religiously. So that's it. That's all I know.
I like the cast. That's like my biggest thing.
They had a lot of chemistry.
That's kind of the key for this type of a movie is if it's gonna be like really weird and kind of janky and probably stretching its budget really far, you need to have a cast of people that get along well and have chemistry, and they had chemistry. This is one of the first roles, anyways, that I liked Michelle Rodriguez in like a lot.
I like her dumb barbarian.
She was fantastic, and like just the general group chemistry was really good, even if the wizard and the druid did not get enough screen time for my liking. I like them.
agree.
I like all of them separately, and I like them as a group. I don't like the fact that the dickhead. What's his name? What's his fucking class? The armor boy.
Oh, paladin.
Yeah, the paladin wasn't like there the whole time. That was cringe. I wanted him to stay.
That happens.
He's
quite a lot
annoying
in
as hell.
D&D.
It was like, damn.
But
There he goes.
So how I interpreted that is that a friend wanted to join the campaign just to check it out for a little bit. So the dungeon master gave him a character that's a main character to help them get an item, and he played as that paladin. And then he came back again just for a quick sit down because he was like, "Oh, I want to check out your campaign again." That's how I interpret that because that's what
I just felt like he was an NPC, but yeah. It was just I liked the guy, and I liked how fucking awkward it was, and then they're just bye. Very sad.
Mm-hmm. I got nothing else to talk about.
Well, you were the last one to speak, so
I have one more fun. There's a metal plate on the back of his fucking loot so he can beat people over the head with it, and I like it. Even though he breaks the loot multiple times in the movie, there's a metal plate on the back of it.
Does he break it multiple times?
Yes.
I think he only broke it once.
There's definitely a metal plate on it though.
Okay.
By loot, I thought you were talking bounty, not musical instrument.
No, the loot. Because he's not really a bard. He's a retard. He thinks
He's a rebard.
He's a fighter. His class is fighter, multi-classed with bard.
Then he's like, but I'm going to beat people with it. So he put a chunk of iron on it. I like that. Anyways.
Collin,
Mm-hmm.
who would win?
Mm-hmm.
Black Panther
Mm-hmm.
or Black Adam?
Why you gotta give me...
I was trying to do color things, and I was trying to think of something with Blue Beetle, but I couldn't come up with any other blue character. So,
Blue Beetle or Nightwing?
no.
Black Adam.
Why?
Just because all the magic and the powerful stuff and blah, blah, blah. And
But Black Panther has so much, wow, words and stuff. Reflex and...
Equipment.
No.
No. I think
The green bar in Dark Souls, stamina, but the freaking dance abilities. He can jump around and flip.
Agility?
Thank you.
Black Adam's wicked fast.
Agile. He can jump around all the spells.
Black Adam real fast. And lightning and magic and God and
What if I team up Black Panther with Storm against Black Adam?
Ooh.
Yeah, because I was hoping, because right when you said Black Panther and Black Adam, I'm like, why didn't you just do Storm and Black Adam? That would make sense. Black Panther and Storm would beat him up real good because she'd do lightning and they'd do some combos and he would throw her or whatever and she'd do Storm stuff and then they fuck after.
Well, yeah.
If Black Adam and Storm did a zappity zap at each other, how would you color the zappity zaps to differentiate them?
Storm's always usually like a white or blue. And then Black Adam's like this kind of golden white type of lightning thing. So it would
kind
clash
of
like that.
A yellow against a blue kind of?
Yeah, it'd be like a yellow against a blue. And Storm would obviously have her normal pose of her legs together and her arms stretched out. And it's like,
I like the arms kind of down.
Oh, it is
at a
down.
45.
Yeah, it is down.
Yeah.
She would do that, and then she'd go like a and like a push forward with the hands, and then
You have
I
a very
feel like
sexual idea of Storm.
she's
He
sexual in nature. She's hot.
A little bit, but
She's very
also, like,
sexualized.
I'm royal, so I'm allowed to show my tits.
She's also very fucking sexualized all the time, anyways. And then Black Adam would kind of do like a Count Dooku hand out, like a like that.
Blows up pancakes with mind.
For real. That's how I would draw it.
Was that entertaining enough? Should we keep going with the character
You
classes?
should, but find better character.
Spencer, what you do?
I read a book.
What book?
The way you smiled, I thought I was going to have to ask you Blue
No.
Beetle versus...
I thought about doing it just to make you angry, but no.
I don't care. I can come up with those things all day.
Man, you should make like a top 10 YouTube channel. Like
Captain America versus Peacemaker. Go.
Oh, no. I'm not answering. I'm not engaging.
Too political. Beans.
Ah! It's true. It's true. Don't
I
get
know
me
who would
started.
win. It's not Captain America.
You're so funny. I read... I read Superman Son of Kal-El Volume 1. It's the beginning of John Kent's solo run. It's his first one, and also it kind of took the place of the Superman title for a little bit. This is so Superman is off-world, or will be off-world in this book. So when Jonathan Kent came back from the future, all aged up and yassified, and was like,
Yes.
I know when Dad's gonna die, because like the history books stop talking about Superman at a certain time and blah blah blah, and he knows it's coming. He doesn't know what happens, but he knows he can't stop it. Stuff like that, the usual dread. And then Superman and Lois are worrying about lost time because their son went from being like 14 to like 20 overnight, basically for them. So just weird family dynamic is going on. And then in like issue 2, Superman ends up running off to go do the space shit that, you know, his impending doom and whatnot. This one was kind of a little disjointed. The real like actual plot is mostly set up for the rest of the run. It's about 3 trades, from what I can tell. I think it's 18-ish issues. But it's setting up a fake, I think, Eastern European country. Just the usual. They have a dictator who's like, everything is perfect here. Don't don't look at us, we're fine. And then there's like literally refugees fleeing over like the oceans. They're like, guys, please stop, we're dying over there. And then he's like, don't listen to them, they're refugees. So it's just it is a very political book, Jacob. So it's a lot of
Beans.
yes, beans, lots of beans. So it's a lot of discussion about like authoritarianism and like police states and news and like the suppression of free speech and all those sorts of fun things. John gets a boyfriend who is, I don't remember his name, and I'm an asshole. What's his name? Fuck me. I can't
That's
remember.
a weird name.
Shut up.
That's a weird name.
I can't remember his name. I feel bad. But he turns out that his new friend and then boyfriend is from said country. He's working undercover kind of to be like good 4chan, basically to like spread news of what's actually going on through like it's like Korea. Is it North or South Korea? I don't remember which one's which.
I never remember which one's which.
I wasn't listening.
The one of the Korea. So there's
North Korea is communist. South Korea is free-ish. North Korea,
Kim Jong-un.
yes, was being led by Kim Jong fuckface
Yes. So it's
until he maybe disappeared like a while ago.
no, that was like 5 minutes. He's very back.
That's too bad.
So it's about John discovering this big plot. It's like kind of like Lex Luthor, but in a different country, except he's kind of worse. Like he's even more crazy. He's making a bunch of metahumans against their will. So he's like stealing people from his like foster kids or whatever from his country, and then shoving like a bunch of metahuman powers in their brains, and then making them have amnesia. So like they'll just they'll just be around something, they'll get stressed out, and then one guy like bursts into flames. And like it's controlled by like his anxiety levels, like stuff like that. It's very much so like set up as like a political thriller story.
He does that a lot. Sometimes intentionally,
True.
but not always.
Yeah, the book kind of the darkest hour in the middle of the book is the moment Superman, like John invites his friend over for dinner at the Kent like farm. They go there. Superman is like, all right, time to go, bye, and then he leaves, and then the house gets fucking bombed.
Superman's like,
Yeah.
all right, I'm gonna head out.
Yeah, so the bad guy like blows up the Kent farm with a metahuman. The Justice League shows up. They get the situation under control, and bonding and stuff. And that's when he discovers his boyfriend is also one of those metahumans who has powers. He can like phase shift and stuff, which is pretty cool. The bigger theme of the book that was kind of stated by Kal-El towards the beginning is like, I was born somewhere else, and although I grew up here and I am trying to be an example for these people, I can't. It's kind of like the why doesn't Superman just fix the problems thing, like directly. He still is a Band-Aid. He leads by example and is a Band-Aid willingly, but he doesn't kind of jump the gun and like, I'm going to just remove this dictator. I can just do that. He doesn't do that because he wants to restrain himself because he isn't human, despite how much he is better than everybody else. He doesn't want to. He's not from here, So that's like his thing. But he's like, well, John, you are half boy, you are half man boy, and you were born here, so you can just fuck shit up, metaphorically speaking. So John gets a lot more like directly involved with issues. He like goes like to protests. He goes on the picket lines, all that sort of fun stuff. It's kind of set up like a montage. It's really weird, but Kal-El is the Superman of tomorrow. He's the man of tomorrow, but John can be the Superman of today, type of deal. It's a whole dynamic they're trying to set up. This is really the first act of a 3-act story. So there's a lot of setup and a lot of exposition. The art is really nice. It's done by John Timms. It's a little YA-ish, I think, is kind of the vibe I got off of this book, which is weird because John is a 19 or 20, but it makes sense that this would mostly be read by like high schoolers. So it's got a bit of a youthful tone. It's very bright. It's very vibrant. The proportions are a little bendy, I guess. Bendy? It's hard to describe. It does look very nice, though.
The proportions are Gumby.
it doesn't, I don't know, it's hard to describe. It doesn't focus on it being like really sharp and edgy or like like super machismo looking. It's just there to convey the people and then the pretty art stuff and the colors and shit. This is written by Tom Taylor. I'm glad that he finally got like I think this is the largest profile book he's worked on, period. DC's was really big for him and his career, and so is Injustice, obviously. But I think this is like the biggest like ongoing, main continuity book. It collects the first 6 issues. I think this was worth the $20 I paid. No, $17 I paid for the trade. It's been out in hardcover for a while. It's a good story. I like it. I want the rest of it to be out in paperback already, because this run is now over, and now there's more John Kent stuff, but I can't get on the new John Kent stuff until I read the old John Kent stuff. And also his suit is fan-fucking-tastic. It's really cool. It's like Superman, but what if he was a boy in the 21st century? It's not timeless looking, but it conveys the difference between the two of them very well.
Would you advise it for that price?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I definitely think if they released the whole thing as one larger, like, thick paperback, I think that would be definitely worth the money. I wouldn't get the hardcovers just because there's only 3 of them, and it's it's above a maxi series, but it was barely an ongoing. Like 18 to 20 issues is like, does that even count? So I would recommend picking it up. It's a good starting point for sure. It's a fun character. He does have a unique voice. That's the more important part, is if you're going to do a new legacy character, you have to make him interesting. And I know people are still really butthurt about the aging him up thing from years ago, but that wasn't a Tom Taylor choice, so there's kind of no point in getting mad at him to work with it. That's what he was told to do, and work with those decisions other people made, so it's fun. They go on adventures. He's very much so Lois's son as well, which is the thing they emphasize, because he's like a journalistic nerd.
Well, thanks for asking. I read Jurassic League, all 6 issues, written by Juan Gedeon and Daniel Warren Johnson, and illustrated by Juan Gedeon, except for issue 3 that was illustrated by Rafa Garres.
Damn it, I bought the book on the same day.
Suck my
I bought that book on the same day, and I was going to read it so I could say it today. Fuck!
Suck
No,
it.
no, he's not allowed to talk about it. He's not allowed to talk about it.
Suck my balls.
No, you suck my balls.
I was really excited for the story because it had Collin's daddy, Daniel Warren Johnson, on the cover. It is a very interesting art style. I really, really appreciated Juan Gedeon's art style. It was fun. It was cartoony. It helped add to the feeling of this book that it was just a Saturday morning cartoon. That's how you have to go into this book. It's like, it is the Justice League and the Legion of Doom as dinosaurs. And it's a Saturday morning cartoon. And it's fun. I didn't know what I expected out of the story. And it all came together. I think it was issue 2 or 3. There was an alternate cover of Darkseid smashing his Jurassic League dinosaurs toys together. Like, in the air. It was like baby Darkseid. And I was like, yes. That's what this book feels like. It feels like Baby Darkseid playing with his dinosaur toys. And he's like decided which one is Superman and which one is Wonder Woman and which one is Black Manta and Aquaman and Joker. That's how this whole book feels.
Is it a Joker fish?
No.
Something's hard.
He kind of looks like one of those dinosaurs. You know the dinosaur that killed that big fat guy in Jurassic Park?
Kind of like a raptor.
Yeah, kind of like a raptor.
But skinnier and longer.
Well, why is he not a Joker fish?
Because it makes no sense.
Because Joker fish is a thing.
It's a fish, though.
There were fish when there were dinosaurs.
I know, but it's about fucking dinosaurs. How is the Joker supposed to fight anyone if he's just a fish?
It is not about fucking dinosaurs. There is no dinosaur sex in this book.
You don't know that.
I read the book. There's no dinosaur sex in the book.
There obviously is because of Batman Dinosaur. He came into life by mommy and daddy.
But they didn't show the dinosaur sex.
There's still sex in the book.
It's implied, maybe, if you want to be that guy.
It is implied.
There's a lot of dinosaurs. It was funny that the dinosaurs had their own language, and there were plenty of times that the visual gag was like a human spoke, and there was a little asterisk that said translated from human. There's a little runt that follows Batman around and is like trying to be his friend and hanging out with him, and they work together a little bit, but Batman doesn't understand the little rat, the little freaking rugrat. So
It's Batmite.
yeah, Batman's always yelling at him like, I don't understand you, shut up, leave me alone. And the kid's like, okay, whatever, and keeps walking after him. It's very, very funny. Superman was raised by humans, so he could speak human and dinosaur. And that was really cool. Issue 3 was arted by a different artist, and it was not of the same caliber as the rest of the book. So that was a big oofy. I don't know what happened there. But then it came back to the rest of the art, and it was good. Daniel Warren Johnson didn't apparently only arted the covers,
Yep.
and that was cool, I guess. I don't understand why he didn't art issue number 3. If they hit a speed bump and needed an artist, you had a resident artist sitting right there. Like, why? But I don't know. Anyway,
I don't know.
was that a Pennywise voice?
No, that was a Master Oogway voice.
It sounded like Pennywise.
I do not bite children.
Explain this mark on me then.
You're not a child. And I don't bite
Yes,
you.
I am. Yes, I am. Yes, you do.
Do not.
You do.
Only if you deserve it.
It was a fun book, a fun romp. I, like Collin said a long time ago when he bought the first issue, neither of us were really into dinosaurs as kids. It just never really hit me.
Sharks are better.
I mean, I went through a museum and everybody was like, wow, isn't that cool? And I was like, meh. And that's
Wear the feathers.
still how I feel. It's like dinosaurs are meh. But it really felt like being a kid again, watching cartoons on Saturday morning. Like,
It was very nice.
it was very fun. I think it was $20 for the collected. Anybody? Colin?
I'm sorry, what?
How much was the book?
It was like 15.
No, it was more than that.
Mm-mm.
I think it was 20.
Mm-mm.
Tune in next week to find out who was right.
Yes.
It was 25. I'm calling it now.
I was kind of wondering that too, and then he said 15.
There's no fucking way a hardcover was $50.
No.
No shot. Thank you for listening.
No. I have 2 things. One, the hardcover is MSRP $25.
Oh!
Wrong.
Got him.
Wrong.
Second, we completely forgot to talk about Skin of My Teeth number 2, written and arted by Jeff Lorentz. Did anybody else read that?
We were supposed to...
Yes,
I did.
I did.
I read it twice.
Wow.
How...
Well, we'll just not do that then.
Fine.
Thank God.
Tune in next week when we talk about the news and Skin of My Teeth number 2, written and arted by Jeff Lorentz, our patron. He's one of 2 people, the other being Caitlin, that went over to patreon.com/dimecomicbros and signed up under one of the 4 tiers available there. They enjoy all kinds of benefits like stickers from us
Bookmarks.
and bookmarks and more stickers and a lot of exclusive audio that they can only find on patreon.com, such as the weekly almost-ish show that we record after this regular episode called Dime Comic Bros. Happy Hour, where we crack open a beer and we talk about anything that enters our tiny alcohol-laced brains.
Small pea brain.
Small PP.
That too. If you like what you hear and you want more and would like to support the show, please go there, do that thing. Yesterday was Free Comic Book Day. We saw a bunch of people. They took a bunch of free stickers and they gave Collin a bunch of money for his artwork because he draws cool things. And that was fun.
Collin got to meet Matt Smith.
Well,
That-
I actually got to meet him again. I saw him last year as well.
Free.
And he's like, your face looks familiar. And I said, oh, I'm the guy that you signed another drawing for my grandfather for. He's like, oh yeah.
Wow.
I think he
stuff.
was just giving you a head, Pat. I don't think he actually remembers you. I think they see enough people where that's not going to happen.
The point is, Free Comic Book Day is managed by our partners, Jetpack Comics and Games in downtown Rochester, New Hampshire. They have all kinds of comics and games in their store. They have a lot of cool employees that love talking about comics and games.
I just don't understand when is Jetpack going to propose? I'm tired of being partners. I want to be married. It's been so long.
Talk to one of your many boyfriends that work there and find out.
I should.
Next week is news. And
I have news.
Skin of My Teeth.
I have news though.
Issue number 2, written and arted by Jeff Lawrence.
I have one more news. Kyle follows me on Twitter now.
Wow.
Congrats.
Kyle follows me on Twitter
Both
now.
of you losers still use Twitter.
I won't be here next week, and you guys are going to start talking about Star Wars Visions. So,
Giggity.
Shit.
giggity,
Shit.
giggity.
Shit.
Can I leave in the
I don't recommend it.
The what?
Kim Jong fuckface?
I mean, you could
Yes.
clip it out and use it as a bit.
Kim Jong
Why not
fuckface.
keep it in?
Because it kind of fucks the flow of the conversation.
It's
I'm trying to get. I'm
It's also
trying,
a little
I'm
bit
sorry.
racist.
Yeah.
I'm trying to construct a point.
Shut up!
It was bad.